Hello, Simon Miller here, and that's right. Earlier this week, I went to a lovely little Ubisoft event, and I did indeed play a video game called Far Cry 5. Now, just as the video gets going, a few housekeeping bits and bobs. Obviously, it's a pre-release version of the game, so you may see some bugs and some glitches and stuff like that, but obviously, I'm sure they'll all be worked out before the end product, and if not, you can all go mad on the internet. Also, while you are hearing my voice magically coming over this video, I played it earlier in the week, and I'm recording this after the fact. So if it sounds a bit crazy, it is. And also, if it sounds a bit crazy, it's because it's not scripted. I'm literally just watching what I played, and I'm talking about it. And finally, if you like people that are good at games, I'm not good at games, so you should hate me. Anyway, I think the most interesting thing about Far Cry 5, for me anyway, is before going in, maybe I thought it was going to be a bit of a departure for Far Cry. They were going to do something a bit different, and that is true with the setting. Like, you just saw that guy there. He's one of the pastors in the game that gives you missions and stuff. And his missions are kind of like, I think this sums up to my point I was about to make anyway. His missions are basically, you know, go out there and liberate people, free them. They're being, if you don't know the deal, there's a big cult in Far Cry 5. And they've gone all crazy. They're using fear and, you know, oppression to make people come to their way of thinking. It's a lot like Charles Manson, I guess, to a certain extent. Also, just want to point out, as I did just plow that car into the water, it's my favourite thing about Far Cry is that you can drive like an absolute loon. I mean, it gives you the kind of sat-nav arrows on the floor for you to follow. You can just drive nuts. I just plowed that car into the water. But as you'll see when I get out as well, it is a very good-looking game. So yes, you're fighting against this cult, and you're trying to bring them. Well, you're trying to save Hope's County, which is where you find yourself. And while Ubisoft are keen to not tie it into modern-day events, it does feel a bit reflective of the society we're living in today. But we won't get into that too much. I don't want to talk about politics. So you play a dude who basically is here to try and, you know, stop the crazy cult people, as you'd expect. So yeah, the pastor gives you missions such as go and liberate these people, go and save these hostages. Now, as you may know, if you played Far Cry 4 or Far Cry 3, I can't even remember Far Cry 2. Far Cry 2 was the one you got malaria and stuff. I'm always impressed with the ideas that Ubisoft come up with for these games. But you will have done that before, right? You'll be more than familiar with approaching a settlement, trying to free the settlement by using, you know, the one you're about to see in a minute, they recommend you use stealth. And you do have to use stealth in the sense that if you make too much of a noise, they kill all the hostages and you've got to start again. But, you know, my point being is that you've done this in a Far Cry game before and you're used to it. And after playing it for a good couple of hours or whatever it was, I don't actually think that's necessarily a bad thing, because what is interesting and what is unique and what is original is the story and the narrative going along beside that. Now, you're not going to see a lot in this video today just because this is more of a gameplay thing, cutscenes and the story and all that nonsense. While I saw it and I can talk about it, I wasn't allowed to capture. But I think that's where the new edge for Far Cry 5 comes in, which I guess makes sense in some respects, because if you do like the series and franchise, I've repeated myself now, but if you do, what you kind of get with 5 as opposed to 4, and most definitely 3, is there's less, not going to say quirky stuff, because some of the missions that I played, one I can't talk about, is proper bonkers, you know. Ubisoft, the development studio that makes this, don't shy away at all. They're happy to come up with some crazy things, but there's less magical stuff. Like Far Cry 3, there was loads of sort of magic and just weird stuff that would happen. This one is a lot more hard-hitting, it's a lot more in your face, and for lack of a better term, it's a lot more realistic. I mean, some of the cult stuff goes into creepy territory. But that's kind of where it lives or dies, and kind of, you know, why it is a success, because you're doing all the Far Cry stuff that you love. And as you can see, the open world is ridiculous. It's absolutely massive. And I don't know whether it's just because I haven't played an open world game for a long time, but I did enjoy it. I did enjoy just running around like an absolute crazy person. And again, it could just be because I made the right move and I took a break from open world games, and now that I've gone back into it, I'm like, oh, this is fun. Because it really does give you ultimate freedom. I mean, as it comes to my brain, there's no more towers. I used to hate towers. I used to insult them all the time because I'm an asshole. But still, now it's just a thing called intel. You look for an icon above somebody's head, and you just go talk to them. And, you know, through the power of speech and learning, that's it. You then find out where you want to go next. You'll get a new location on your map. You'll get a new character to talk to. You'll get a new mission. So obviously, we just got going back to the video, we just got the settlement here. I'm going to punch that guy right in the face. He ain't talking no more. You're going to have to get a voice box. And as you can see, this is why you've got to keep quiet, because, you know, if you alert them too quickly, they'll kill the hostages. But I just decided to run around and just murder them all. There's a great bit in a minute. Some dude, he runs out that door. He thinks he's going to do something. No, you don't, mate. See ya. Oh, it's the most violent neck break of all time. And this fool tried to get involved. letting down the bald community. If this is the first video you've watched of mine, I am bald. And yeah, it's that classic thing as well, is because you're trying to fight back against the cult, the more you can rally the resistance, which is the group that you're a part of, the more, we'll call it experience. It's not experience points, but that's kind of the sort of what's happening under the hood. The more power you can get, and eventually, the leader of the cult, who Joseph Seed, I think his name is, he will, and I saw this as well, obviously you're not going to see this in the footage today, but he will come after you, and then you get a whole bit with them, and it progresses. It's Far Cry, right? It's Far Cry. But that doesn't mean that it's not a lot of fun. I actually, you know, when I was clipping the video together this morning and I was recollecting on my time with the game, I did keep thinking to myself, that was a lot of fun. Like, I did enjoy myself. And it also, the thing that Ubisoft always do get right, I find, with these games, is it's really fun to fire a gun. And on top of that, there's loads of guns, and there's loads of different sort of types of ammo and, you know, modifications you can do for all of that. And I do think that's important because, obviously, you're going to shoot a lot of people. As you're about to see, we're about to get ambushed by a bunch of jabronis, and I've got to gun them all down. If my gun doesn't feel good, then that's no fun. That's going to suck. So yeah, that's another element that I think they've got right. I would say the highlight of everything, and again, we weren't allowed to capture this, so you're not going to see it. And again, I'll keep jumping in and out as things change, which I'm sure will annoy everybody, but, you know, I annoy people all the time. The co-op is great, and I'm sure you may have read, if you're interested in the game, it literally works as simple as, if you're playing the game and you want to go join someone's co-op, you just go and join it. You know, you literally just jump in. So no matter where they are in the game, no matter what they're doing, the whole game is playable that way too. But you can jump into their game, any guns or items that you collect, you can then take back to your game. I don't think progression carries over, because that would be madness. How would that work? But I may be wrong, but I don't think it does. This is Mary May. She's another one of the, there's tentpole characters that will give you a lot of missions. So Pastor Jones is your, let's go liberate people, and Mary May's more of, well, the one we're about to do is get her dad's truck back. Her dad's truck's called the Widowmaker. Those asshole cult people have stolen it. She's like, word, bro, why don't you go get my truck back? And we're like, okay, cool. And this is where the open world stuff comes in, because we've just done a mission where it's very gun heavy. And I guess there are similarities there, right? Because what we're about to do here is we break into a compound, we kill a load of people again, and then we steal the truck, and then you've got to get the truck back to HQ, which is where we are now, by ramming through a load of barriers. But there's a twist to each one. And again, from certain hints that I did see, I do think you are going to get a lot of wacky quests and missions. And I think that's important, because the hardest thing for any open world game to do is remain interesting. It's probably going to be at least 20 hours, and that's probably on the conservative side of things. So if you don't get variety and diversity, then you're going to get really bored. And I do think maybe old Far Cry games, for me anyway, suffered from that a little bit. I love Far Cry 3, but, you know, and I think this is the crutch of any game. You know, again, when I got to that sort of 20-hour mark, I was a bit like, maybe I just need to chill out. I just ran over some civilians there as the game was telling me off. Again, the best thing about these games is you can drive like an absolute loon. It makes me happy. Imagine you saw someone speeding down the road like this. You'd be, what is this crazy person doing? So yeah, anyway, going back to what I was saying, you do get a bunch of characters, and each of their missions kind of wraps itself around a certain approach to what you'll be doing, kind of, but kind of not. And I do have a feeling, like I say, when I was about an hour in, and I did meet the cult for the first time, I did feel like that maybe things had shifted just slightly. I mean, my game ended when I'd escaped from them, and I was being mortared of all things. They were trying to kill me by dropping mortars on me, and it felt like the tension was building, it felt like the action was building, and it felt like maybe I was about to reach somewhere where something big was going to happen and things were going to shift over. I don't know, that's the case. That's just my gut feeling. But yeah, when I look back on my time with it, I was very much like, you know what, I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed all the vehicles. Like, this video ends, as you see, with me just getting in a plane and going for a little fly. You know, that was good. Also, the shotgun is an enjoyable weapon to use. I mean, shotguns in most games are fun to use, but this one in particular made me smile. I wouldn't say that I'm worried about it. And a lot of people are going to hear me say this and go, oh, Melly, you're such a loser. And I am a loser. You're 100% correct. And I can't remember if there is a difficulty option in the game or not. I really can't remember with Far Cry. But what I was playing on here, maybe just because I suck at games and I need to work on it myself, it is damn hard. I didn't die a lot, and I think maybe if I'd balanced out-and-out carnage, which I'm always want to do with more smart stealth tactics, I probably would have got on better. Always chuck a good grenade, though. That makes me happy. I would have gone better with it, but I'm just basically saying this if you're more like a gamer like me, and not necessarily this goes for everyone. Well, it doesn't. But with a game like this, when it is so open and free and unrestrictive, and that is really what this feels like. Like, you don't, like, it's because the towers are gone, you are more or less just exploring and going around and just trying to learn. Died there, but it's all right because my buddy's going to come and save me, which is a wonderful thing. That's as it's happening right now. You can hire people to come, classic Far Cry. You can hire people to, join up with you. There's some dogs for hire, and they'll basically just go rip people's balls off, as you'd expect. Anyway, with an open world game, sometimes I do just like to run amok and have fun. I don't want to worry about dying, don't want to worry about the challenge. Look what I just did to that man. What a horrible person I am. He was dead, and I shot him in the back just because I was annoyed. Before that, he tried to kill me. So we're going to go through this door. The door was locked before. I don't think I showed that in the footage. So you have to go get the key card first. Classic video games. And then you get in this gnarly purple-yellow truck. Not 100% sure why the Resistance wanted it back. Definitely don't understand why they painted it that colour. It looks a bit like Optimus Prime if Optimus Prime was a hippie. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, I do hope there is an option for idiots like me that just want to run amok and do crazy stuff. Because I think it's fun. Like, even here, when you're just smashing through barricades and, they've got a couple of guns on it, so you just push L1 and you can, shoot the crap out of people and they'll try and kill you. I did die a couple of times. I should point out the checkpointing is very good. I also set myself on fire. You can just put the fire out, just pat it, like in real life. And use the medkit as you're driving. So, rules of the road, kids. Rules of the road. Yeah, I do want to point out the checkpointing is very good. Every time I did die, it put me back to a position where I was actually like, oh, thank you, video game. I don't feel punished. I don't feel like now I have to go and do... I mean, if you get to a compound and you die, you'll have to start outside the compound, sure. But it felt fair. Like when I died in the Widowmaker mission that you're watching now, it didn't put me back to the first barricade. I think it was a barricade 5 out of 9 or whatever it was. And it put me back in a fair place. I do think that is an underrated element of video games in 2017. People forget about that. Maybe I don't want to do all that again. Maybe I'm terrified about my impending death, and I don't want to waste time doing things I've already done. But yeah, I mean, by and large, if I walk away from a video game feeling excited about playing it more, which I did, I think that's a pretty good sign of what's to come. And I've already scratched the surface. I mean, like I said, I played an hour of the main game and I played 30 minutes of co-op. So there's so much more for me to learn, so much more for me to understand. I'm sure each of the characters that I've mentioned are going to evolve as the game goes on. Wouldn't surprise me if one's bad, because that always happens in video game. But anyway, my point being is I think Far Cry 5 will succeed based on its story, based on its setting, and based on the fact that it is trying something. I can't think of too many other games that have this kind of feel. If you're a wrestling fan, it is a bit like Bray Wyatt. I'll throw that out there just as an aside, in case you mostly watch me from my wrestling stuff and you like me to tie that in. And I'd imagine, given that it has an 18 rating, they're not going to hold back with it. And I think it may have some controversial moments in it, but I think a good controversial in the sense that games should be pushing boundaries and barriers and making statements that even though the developer may say they're not making, they are making, and then we can all debate that. That's a great way for games to go in the future, at least for my money. The mission we're doing now, basically, just to show how it all evolves, is one of the crazy cult people decided to come back to the Resistance. So this is one of our hideouts, and we're hiding him here. But the cult people think that we've kidnapped him, so they're like, right, we're going to storm their barricades, and we're going to try and get him back. So it all goes crazy. You get attacked by about 72 different people. And it was damn hard. I'm not going to lie. I sacrificed a lot of heart rate for this, because I was absolutely rubbish. But I didn't die. Someone did have to save me at one point. And the really cool bit, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I did like it. Because at one point, you're sort of against the cosh, you're told just to pick up the body, leg it to the river, dump that river in a boat, and that's the end of the mission. And I like that because it just changed the pacing up. Maybe I was getting a bit done with just, being absolutely pelted by human beings that I had to shoot in the face, and I did want to do something different, and that's what happened. So yeah, that's Far Cry 5. I'll leave the rest of the video just to play out so you can enjoy the gameplay. I definitely think it's got potential. It comes out March 2018, if you don't know. It got delayed by a few weeks. It's not massively outside of the realms of what you'd expect from a Far Cry game, but in hindsight, that's probably for the best. because the template works, the template is fun, and if the story, and like I say, all the kooky stuff they're doing can progress the right way to when you finish the game, had a really good story, I think this could be quite special, maybe special, maybe not, because you kind of know what to expect before going in because it's just a very good open world game. However, we don't know. Bottom line is I enjoyed it. Far Cry 5 was good. Keep an eye on the channel for more of that. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Do all the stuff you want to do. Live your dreams. I'll speak to you soon.
Take them even if
you're still breathing, they're not.
For those who deny the project are the ones most in need of its salvation. Bathe them, cleanse them.
If you're marked, John will send you videos. It's like a secret invitation.
He says he wants to leave Eden's Gate, and we gotta try and help him.
You can't stop us from taking what we need to survive.
Vegas are trying to take him back. We gotta stop him.
That
Come on, we gotta protect this guy.
Joseph proclaimed. This is our mission. To embrace the word of Joseph. To say,
You don't want to start anything.
I will be saved. To say yes. I will be reborn. To say
Try it and you're dead,
I
fucker.
pledge my life to the project.
Goddamn!
Let them take me. Heads up. Hostiles ahead. Enemy away. Going this way.
Resistance members are on the way. Bring the defector to them.
Please, forgive me.
Leave right here. We'll take care of the rest.
We got incoming fire! Don't let any Vikings get near us!
Look over here!
Deputy, it's Mary May over in Falls End. Just wanted to say you're doing one hell of a job.